Welcome, everyone, to Black Man Speak. I'm the J.R. Stewart.
And I am Tommy D. Duncan III, otherwise known as TD3 Jimmy. It is Wednesday, the first Wednesday of February, of course, also Black History Month. And if it is Wednesday night,
It's certainly Black Men Speak. So let's give a shout out to Liquid for providing our theme music. And if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and then spread the word. And we're going to give a special thanks to Forest Films and our own studio for supporting the show. And with that being said, Tom, I know we got a pack-filled show, lots of news, lots of information to share. So let's do what we do best.
absolutely. And folks, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. Please join us on our chat line. We're going to get some shout outs here in a couple of minutes after we get through our birthdays. And as we go through our stories, give us your feedback. Let us know if you have any questions. We have some pretty interesting stories today, so we want to hear what you got to say on this as well.
Yes, we want to hear from you. This is your show just as well as ours, so you can help drive the content. So use that chat line. Put your comments in there.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our birthdays, Jimmy. We've got our February birthday going into the second week. So, you know, we talked a little bit about this guy last year, Jimmy. And all I would say is, and we've got a couple of stories coming up, during the Grammys, no, I don't think it was the Grammys. Which one has to do, well, matter of fact, I think it was the Grammys, Jimmy, because I think it was this guy who is infamously known for.
Oh, Chris Rock, okay.
Chris Rock has a birthday on today, February the 7th. And Jimmy, we talked quite a bit about Chris last year, you know, on that sort of
infamous slap, Tom.
Yeah, the slap that he will be most infamously known for. But at any rate, happy birthday. Hopefully you are having a great year, comeback year. I was still waiting and expecting to see more in the response. After all that time, we were waiting for you to respond to what happened last year with Will Smith.
But we had to wait till the ringing dissipated from his ear. When you get slapped like that, you know, that leaves a ringing for a while. So you have to wait till the ringing stop so you can think clearly on what your response is going to be.
That must have been a very long ring, Jimmy, because I still hadn't seen very much other than the threat of doing something without really doing something. I don't think that there were any charges that were filed. I don't think that
no charges, Tom.
I think Chris
handled it in a dignified way. And to let it kind of die down, he did give a response after a while,
right?
But it was mild. I mean, he could have. It could have been worse. Tom is my point, and certainly he could have filed charges. And we know that.
I don't think he wanted to do that.
Yeah,
so I think he took the smart role in terms of not filing charges. But you know what? I can say this much, and we won't spend too much time on this. You know, Will has come out with maybe one or two things since then, but man, it's been real quiet.
Well, Tom, it's going to be quiet for a while, so he has a lot of image rebuilding to do. Not that it can be done, and plus, I'm sure he's rich enough that he doesn't have to do anything else. He doesn't want to. So it's up to him how hard he's willing to work. But you know what? It wouldn't be a bad thing for Will Smith to reach out to Chris and to work on a project together to show that they've buried it and that he's made amends and if they work on like a film together, even a short film, I think that would be a good first step.
That would be pretty interesting if that actually happened. I mean, I'm not saying that it could.
Especially since Oprah's not paying anybody, maybe they can reach out to some black actors and actually give them a decent paycheck.
We shall see. All right. This next gentleman here, you know, has been in a ton of films. You know, I would say kind of, you know, one of the up and comings. I wouldn't say A-lister, but this gentleman here, if there was an A-,
if he's not an A-lister, Tom, he should be.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan, man, has been a lot of great films. Great actor. You know, I still probably like him most for his personality in, of course, the Black Panther. I was very, very upset and disappointed when they had to kill him at the end of the show. I think that he actually should have stayed in the show and took over, Jimmy.
Well, you know what, Tom? The wife was, I was just talking about him last week, and she was, we were talking about just great performances. And she was saying how he was on her shit list for a while because he played such a good villain. He played that
I
role
love it. I
very
love it.
convincing. She was like, I had to skip the Creed movies because I was still disliking him from the Panther movie. But she had to admit that he just played the role really well, and that he played it so well that she took it personally. I mean,
And
that's
Jimmy, that is the mark of a great actor. You
that
don't
is,
see the person, you see the role. And that
yes.
I think is what make people like him, Samuel L. Jackson, Denzel. I mean, when you look at, people will
Morgan
see this stuff.
Freeman's of the world. Yeah,
Exactly. Michael B. Jordan has been in a lot of great films, and all I would say is pay the man. But we'll definitely get to that because there's
I
so
agree.
many talented actors and actresses, and our stories have barely been told. And I guess that's a good reason why you have Netflix, Hulu, and a lot of these other platforms, so that we can get more of our stories out. Because quite frankly, Hollywood just ain't gonna do it.
No, they're not, Tom. And it's good that we have streaming platforms like Netflix and a few others, man, that are willing to invest in Black content. So, i.e., folks, if you're a writer, movie producer, now's the time to be cranking out content. So, what do we
Yes.
have next, Tom?
All right, this guy is crazy funny, Jimmy. If you love comedy, Michael Collier has been around for a very long time, and he has a birthday actually coming up on January the 9th with Michael B. Jordan. But Michael Collier has a birthday coming up in a couple of days. For those of you who are comedy fans, give him a shout out. I guess that would be on Friday.
Well, Tom, you know what makes his comedy so funny is that it's real. He talks
Yes.
about stuff that really happened, how he was down and out, how he used to do drugs, and the things you go through and how you think when you're a drug addict. And his timing is just impeccable with how he changes up his reflection, his voice. I mean, this guy's a master at what he does. He is funny as hell. I wish he would do more that we could see. And you just seem like I haven't seen much of his body of work here lately, but I do know every time I see him someplace, he is funny as hell.
Yes, he is. And Jimmy, I think I don't know that it was a documentary, but I think talking about his life, I know he was homeless at some point in time. I know he was in California homeless, and he really crafted his skills, out on the street while he was really living from hand to mouth for a period of time before he became famous.
Tom, you'd be amazed at what you're capable of when you're down and out and things are getting desperate for you. So you can either give in to the situation or you can dig in and fight. So he's a fighter. So we got happy birthday, and we commend you as being a role model of what you should do when you're down and out.
All right. This next young lady, who is both very beautiful and talented as well. Some of you may or may not know her face, but Kelly Rowland, who obviously was with a singing group a while back in the day. She's obviously come out with several solo albums of herself. Of course, she is the sister of Beyonce as well. But she has crafted a name for herself, and she has a birthday coming up on February the 11th. I guess that's going to be this upcoming Sunday, Jimmy. So definitely a happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday. I don't think I'm familiar with any of your work, but happy birthday.
Gotcha. And last but definitely not least, I think most of us who've been around for a while definitely know this face, the great comedian Arsenio Hall. He hasn't really been out front in quite a while. He took a break from show business for quite a while, of course, after the Arsenio Hall show. And of course, he paired with Eddie Murphy on, I guess, a couple of films as well. So Arsenio Hall has a birthday coming up on the 12th, which I believe would be next Monday as well. But I believe Jimmy took off some time to spend with his son and really to be a dad, which definitely I would have to commend him on that.
Yeah. You know what, Tom? I've tried to watch late talk shows, the Late Show and the Late Late Show, and all these after. And I'm going to tell you, none of them can compare to the talk show that Arsenio Hall had. His show was kind of a little racy. It was funny. It was entertaining. These talk shows now are just as dry as can be. So I don't know if the brother has an interest in coming back, but if he does, he should be able to wipe out the competition easily because his show back then is twice as funny and entertaining than any of these shows now.
Yeah, he definitely brought a lot of energy,
He did.
charisma, comedy, bravado to the stage that I don't know that I can recall anybody else. Not that anybody else should be like him, but Jimmy, he just brought a lot of energy to the show.
Yes, he did. So,
all right, Jimmy, before we go to our stories, let's see who is on the chat line, give some shout outs, and see what people have going on. So it looks like we have, and I don't know what this is, Britler that says, "Where is Keith?" And then there's a Messamari who says Keith, and I'm not exactly sure who Keith is, Jimmy, but we need to put an APB out on Keith. I don't know who that is.
Okay. Is it a singer who just passed away?
I have no idea. I have no idea, Jimmy. It just says, somebody says, "Where is Keith?" And then somebody says Keith. We also have Audrey K. Booker on the line from the DFW area. Good evening, cousin Audrey K. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we want to hear what you've got to say because I know some of y'all are probably aware of a few of these shows, stories that we've got, so we definitely want to see what you got. All right, Miss Bunny Scott from Medellin, Colombia. Buenos dias, and it's good to have you on the show tonight.
Is Miss Scott out of the country again?
Yes.
Must be nice. Bonnie, we love you. So it must be nice. Enjoy yourself, girl.
Exactly. A world traveler.
Yes.
All right. Next, we have Miss Marion Square. All right. The handcuff killer Mike at the Grammys did a pep talk for questions regarding misdemeanor. Chris got hit. No, nothing. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Marion. So you got to put some of your comments in there so we can talk about the killer Mike.
Well, now's the time we need our lawyers to speak up.
Yep. And then how can we collectively make money? I know, Jimmy, you've got a bunch of solutions to that, how we can collectively make money. So we may have to put that as one of our auxiliary topics for this evening, since she asked.
We can make that a show topic if the person want to really know. So yes, we haven't done a financial show in a while. Yes, money-making idea. So maybe let's put that on the calendar, Tom.
Okay, that sounds good. We got the Commissioner Ed Gray on the show. Good evening, my good brother, and thank you for joining us. Of course, remember the Commish radio show on
every Saturday.
Absolutely. So definitely
go check it out. It's a great show.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us this evening. And let me see. There we go. Mr. Collegiate, Brother Frederick V. Roberts, Esquire. From the Bahamas.
Another lawyer.
Yeah, in Prairie View, Texas, by way of Bahamas. So thank you for joining us this evening. Now, I know Brother Fred has got some things to say about some of our topics tonight, so I'll be very interested to hear what he's got to say. Ms. Carol Wilson, thank you for joining us tonight, Ms. Carol, and good evening to you. I know she's got an opinion on practically everything as well, so we're looking forward to hearing from her. Ms. Tanya Hall from KGGR Radio in mornings and afternoons on both the radio and on internet as well.
Well, Tom, since Ms. Hall is on the show and watching the show, Black Men Speak is still waiting for their complimentary pie. I was just watching a movie about a pie maker, and I was thinking about Miss Hall. So anytime she want to come up with the pecan pie or sweet potato pie, they send it to the show. Black Man Speak is ready for it.
All right. Of course, we got our good friend, Brother Asar Al-Kabilon as well from the Austin, Texas area. I want to thank you for tuning into the show this evening. Of course, African Genius Podcast. Make sure you check it out, people. So you can learn everything Pan-African. And, looks like we have another birthday coming up since we're recognizing birthdays. Brother Freddie Roberts has a birthday coming up on February the 14th.
Okay.
Next week, so early happy birthday to you as well. And last but not least, our good brother Herman Winston out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indianapolis in the house. Wow.
Yes, sir. Frat brother of ours out of Indianapolis. So I've known him for a long time. Very good guy. Does a lot of things. And we appreciate you joining us this evening. So I know this brother, he comes with the fire. He comes with opinions as well. So look forward to hearing what Brother Herman has to say about some of our topics this evening.
Well, just for the record, I want to make sure I
Oh,
put this
Herman
out
Winston
here.
the third. I'm sorry, Herman Winston the third. He corrected me.
Ms. Carol Wilson wants us to cover Black folks other than in Africa. So we need to
We do
look up.
cover Black folks other than in Africa. We cover what's going on in Africa too. Matter of fact, we didn't cover anything that was going on the continent last week.
Well, her point is that Black folks are around the world,
Yes.
and surely they must be making some news somewhere else other than here in America and in Africa. So I told we'd look into it and do what we can.
Okay, we'll definitely look into that. But you know, hey, we do what we do, and we are speaking global. So all that
also,
being
if
said,
you folks have any news stories you want to share, send them our way.
all right, Jimmy, let's go ahead and get to our top stories for
What's
this
our first
week.
story?
All right, we're going to start off with Aurora, Colorado. I don't know if many of you saw the story, but recently the city of Aurora agreed to pay $1.9 million in a settlement to a family after law enforcement officers were captured on camera holding a family at gunpoint to the ground. This video went viral in 2020, which showed police holding Brittany Gilliam along with her 2 daughters and 2 nieces who were forced onto the ground by police after pulling them over for what they thought was a stolen car. And the license plate was the same, but the state was wrong. It was a Montana tag, and the car that they had was in Colorado. So it had a Colorado tag on it. So I'm sorry, the vehicle had a Montana license plate, but Gilliam's car had a Colorado license plate. Anyway, all that being said, during the video that went viral, Gilliam's children can be heard screaming while the officers on the scene order them to the ground with their hands on their heads. The video, of course, garnered outrage from across the country. Of course, you have to remember in context, you know, this is right around the time where everything was extremely tense around the country because of the George Floyd murder. And, you know, at the time, after it was found out the error that the police had made and the trauma that they put this mother, her children, and her nieces through, that the Vanessa Williams, who was the former police chief, of course, apologized and offered counseling to the children and said that police officers should use more discretion in how they handle traffic stops.
Tom, it's not more. Okay. That's a weak apology. This should have never happened.
Well, of course, it shouldn't have never happened.
A woman with 4 kids in a car.
4 girls, and literally, right. Jimmy, they were
even if she had broke the law, if you thought she had broke the law, traumatizing them that way, putting them on the ground. I saw the video, and there's just no excuse for that. She posed no threat. Those kids posed no threat, and to treat them as if they were hardened criminals was just unimaginable, Tom, that they could be that inept that they're doing their job. And that was just poor policing all the way around. And for her to say that we apologize, and it was okay, it was a mistake on the license plate. Okay, we understand. You didn't pay attention to the state destination on the license plate, and the lettering and numbers were exactly the same from both states. But still, even if you thought she had stolen a car, you don't treat her and those children that way. You know, you can secure them, and while you investigate and find out what's going on. And Tom, so all you now have generated in fear of officers and those kids, and they may be traumatized for life. They may never get over it.
They are going to be traumatized for life. I mean, and you're not even talking about boys. You're talking about girls, little girls. Right.
So Jimmy, I do my best to try to spread the message that we should not fear the police. We should respect them, let them do their job. Don't interfere with that. Cooperate as best as possible. But this right here, yeah, I mean, it's even more worse to see, Tom. Is bad. I mean, that was not called for when you got cooperation that's happening. You were in no threat. There was no fear. Nobody's going to escape or run. And if they do, you tell them you can't chase down a little girl. Mama's not going to go anywhere. I mean, where are they going to go? So, yeah, this was just bad policing, Tom, and they all need to be fired. There's just no excuse for it.
The sad and unfortunate truth about this incident is if it were not for videos, if it were not for, and I don't know if this ultimately came from a body cam that was on an officer, or otherwise, if it were not for these videos showing this, Jimmy, more than likely nothing would have happened, because
Right. It would nothing would have
been
happened,
their
Tom.
word against those of the law enforcement officers. And usually in this case, the law enforcement officers win, even when they're in the wrong and there's video there, they sometimes rule in the favor.
It's very difficult to get convictions against officers.
Exactly. But this is, Jimmy.
It's gotten a little better, Tom, because we've been able to document some of it either by bystanders who are videotaping it or the body cam. But it's amazing how many body cams get turned off, malfunction when things are happening. So,
they just straight turn them off, Jimmy. There ain't no the only malfunction is they turn.
Well, turn them off is against the law. They all claim that it malfunctioned. We had a group malfunction and all the body cams just stopped working. So,
and Jimmy, this is not too long after the Elijah McClain situation, where the law enforcement officers tackled the man, put him into a chokehold. First responders came there, they inject him with ketamine. He ends up dying of a heart attack while they're taking him to the hospital. Eventually they end up getting I think a $15 million settlement in 2021. But I mean, when is it going to end, Jimmy?
It's not going to end, Tom.
You say training.
Let's not work towards that aim of hoping that these things are going to end. They're not going to end. The best we can hope for is to get involved with your local government and work towards better policing. And that has to be the aim.
How do you do it? How do you do that?
Well, Tom, one, it doesn't hurt to get to know your city officials. And then when they have review boards, every city has a review board. I promise you they do. Get involved and see if you can get on one of those boards. Now, on top of that, the training that police receive, at the academy, those are all governed by the mayor and the police chief. Once again, this is why you get to know your city leaders to see what's in that manual, how they're being trained. This may be SOP for Aurora police. This may be, their standard operating procedures. This may be how they do their business. And so change the things from within for better policing, wishing and hoping that things get better or stop is really not the solution. You really have to get active. And then on top of that, Tom, it's sad to say, but this is a woman with 4 girls with her. Where are the black men standing? You want to protest against something? You want to where are the black men standing for the black woman and the black children?
But this, Jimmy,
definitely silent, Tom.
But Jimmy, this is the problem. You can't say that this woman's husband or whomever can't be in the car in every situation. Maybe he was.
No, Tom, but I'm saying after the fact. Now, if you want to march and protest and come together and organize for a protest, this is something worth protesting.
And of course, and this incident, in addition to the one before, was protested as well. The challenge is this: even when you get involved in community affairs, police review boards, unfortunately, you cannot, in some cases, revert what we would call cultural bias of certain law enforcement officers. They're not colorblind. They do see color. And as a result of it, there is a bias. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened if the lady was Caucasian and she had 2 Caucasian nieces and 2 Caucasian daughters with her, but it's like reverting the cultural bias in this particular case. I just have a hard time seeing how you had 3 or 4 police officers putting a woman and 4 girls who are no threat to them to the ground. They're going to get some ice cream and celebrate, and the rest of their lives literally are traumatized by this situation.
Well, once again, Tom, you really do have to personalize this, and that's why you get involved. Like, for example, I live in the city of McKinney. This is probably the most conservative city in Collin County, and Collin County is the most conservative county in Texas. And we have a great police force. My wife is involved with the citizen patrols, so she gets to know officers. But before she even got involved with being a citizen patrol, we know our police chief, we know the mayor, we know our city council, we know the city manager. We meet these people, we talk to them. You have to get involved and form personal relationships, and even with the police force. Whenever we see officers here, we talk to them. We go out and shake their hand. We let them know that we appreciate the work that they do. make them acknowledge you as a person. So they get to, rather than just having a hands off, all that, because they deal with the worst elements of society all the time. They don't really get a chance to meet that many decent people. So show them that there are black people who are decent. In case they have a cultural bias, they can start overcoming that by putting a human face and humanizing black people that they have to police. So that's why we have to get involved, Tom. Don't be afraid to go talk to your officers. When you see them out there, go let them know, hey, I appreciate you doing this job. Because personally, I wouldn't do the job. I mean, because I'd be drinking, doing drugs. I couldn't dealing with the worst elements of society every day. People lying to you, being a parasite to society. I know who the criminals are, but I can't do anything until I catch them in the act. Tom, I don't know how these folks are going to become jaded and commit suicide from doing this job. So I commend the ones who do it. But like I said, everybody, let's make sure you know the officers who are patrolling your neighborhoods. Wave at them, speak to them.
And that means they may know you and your wife and your family, Jimmy. But in a lot of cases, as we've seen in America, there are certain folks that they'll see as you're different. You're
Tom, they'll see you as different until they don't.
They make it very clear you're not like the other ones, and that's being just straight 100 with you.
But Tom, that leads us to start.
McKinney may have a good police department, but that did not stop them. That did not stop them from body slamming a little black girl after a party in McKinney, Texas.
Tom, don't bring that up because you're going to put me in a position to have to defend my police department. That man did exactly what he was supposed to do with that many kids who are out of control. He told that young girl to leave. Yes, Tom, because she left, she came back, she was agitating the crowd.
No excuse for body slamming.
And they were roughhousing and playing, Tom. He got kids bumping into him from behind. He don't know if he's been attacked.
But there's no excuse for body slamming.
He didn't body slam that little girl. He put that girl.
It's on video.
He put her in ties, Tom, and put her on the ground while she was steady mouthing off about what she wasn't going to do.
Don't take my word for it.
We can go back and watch the video, Tom. I watched it several times, but that officer did, and unfortunately, for that many kids who are out of control and their parents not disciplining them to respect law enforcement, when he told her to go home, she just went home and stayed. She came back. She's agitating. She's mouthing off at him. She's encouraging other kids to be disobedient.
Between a grown man,
Tom, his job is to produce order, Tom.
I've seen videos
that number of kids running around out of control is not order. His job is to return the society to order. It's an embarrassment that many kids were out of control and their parents didn't raise them better. When an officer tells you to go home and stop or go over there and stop doing what you're doing, you do it. Just comply. You don't that little girl mouthing off, telling them what she's not going to do.
I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of compliance.
Yes, Tom, you're defending, you're blaming him for trying to do his job.
Let me finish one.
Rather than you didn't say one thing about the parents and these out of control kids.
I'll let you finish. Let me finish. I'm not saying I agree with you. You should comply with law enforcement just like you should comply with your elders. But there is a difference in terms of how certain communities are handled and how others are, because you can see someone who gets shot and killed unarmed, but I've seen other folks from other communities, they will literally slap the taste out of an officer's mouth and then they will just let them drive off. There's a difference in how different communities are handled. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Treat everybody the same and we're good. Treat everybody the same and we're good.
Tom, you know life is not fair that way, so that's not going to happen.
I know, but treat everybody the same. That's all we ask for from our law enforcement officers. Treat everybody the same. Everybody the same, and we ain't got no beef. All right, folks.
What's our next story?
You know what? I think that we've got to, let's see if we got any thoughts here. Let me see. Herman Weston, 1.9 million should get them some new therapists for sure. I don't know what therapists are. Somebody can explain that to me. Let me see. Lawyer gets 33% of settlement and the
13
cost.
What happened to 10?
Say what now?
What happened to 10? 13?
She said 33%.
A third?
That's what she said. 33%.
For filing a lawsuit? Oh
So
man.
they're getting a third of the fees. Tanya Hall, are you kidding me? Not exactly sure. I bet a black officer would never body slam a white girl. Yeah, he'd be afraid for his job and his
Well,
future.
he go to jail, Tom.
Gotcha. All right, Jimmy, why don't we do this? Because it is Black History Month. We do Black History all year, folks. But we've got some special videos that we want to show in between our different stories today, Jimmy. So why don't we, so that we don't forget them and wait to the very last, show them in between our stories.
Who we have coming up first, Tom?
All right, Jimmy, I'm going to let you choose the first one, and then I'll maybe choose the second.
Okay, let's go with Mr. Nat Turner.
All right, one of my favorites.
Okay.
Was an African-American enslaved preacher who led a violent slave rebellion in Southampton County, Virginia, in 1831. He was born into slavery on October 2, 1800, in Southampton County, Virginia. He grew up in a deeply religious environment and developed strong religious convictions. He believed that he was chosen by God to lead his people out of slavery. He claimed to have received visions from God instructing him to lead a rebellion against slavery. On the night of August 21, 1831, he and a group of followers began their rebellion, killing slave-owning families as they moved from plantation to plantation. The rebellion lasted for about 48 hours. The rebellion was eventually suppressed by local militia and state forces. Turner went into hiding but was captured on October 30, 1831. He was tried and found guilty of leading the rebellion. On November 11, 1831, Nat Turner was hanged in Jerusalem, Virginia. The Nat Turner Rebellion was one of the most significant slave rebellions in U.S. history. The violence and fear it generated among slaveholders resulted in harsher slave codes and restrictions on enslaved individuals. Nat Turner's legacy has been the subject of various historical interpretations. Some see him as a courageous leader who resisted the brutality of slavery, while others view him as a fanatic whose actions led to increased oppression of the enslaved population. His story has been explored in literature, including William Styron's novel, The Confessions of Nat Turner, 1967. Turner's rebellion and his conviction that he was called by God have also been the subject of numerous works of art and cultural discussions. Nat Turner's rebellion is a significant chapter in the history of American slavery, and his actions and the subsequent repercussions played a role in shaping the debates and tensions surrounding slavery in the United States.
Awesome.
Well, all I can say, Tom, is the problem with the rebellion, it wasn't large enough. It didn't last long enough.
No, the problem with the rebellion, Jimmy, is that you had someone who ratted out Nate Parker.
Yeah, that's Tom, as always.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
every sorority, every organization, black organization. Anytime you get more than 3 black people together, I promise you, the FBI and the government has someone on the inside who's telling them what's going on. So it's very difficult with black people.
We're gonna have to stick. If that's the case, we're gonna have to stick to just you and me on the show. We can't invite too many other people.
Well, Tom, we already had the folks who were writing letters complaining against our show. How many shows we had canceled and taken off of the platform. We had to fight to get them back. And for what? We were accused of child pornography, violating the community guidelines with racial stuff. I mean, all kind of crazy complaints were filed against us. So, Tom, these folks, these haters are out there. And but yeah, I mean, we look at a few like John Brown and Nat Turner, on a small scale compared to what the Haitians did against the French over in Haiti. You see, the reaction was different.
Yes.
Because of what happened in Haiti, the Brits totally got out of the slave business after that happened. America just doubled down because they figured, hey, we can control this. This is just a couple of small incidents. But Tom, if it had happened on a larger scale, on more plantations, where it just became a bloodbath, we could have probably ended slavery a lot sooner if it happened on a much larger scale. And unfortunately, Nat did what the Haitians did. Man, woman, and child had to go. I mean, I know it's kind of cruel.
That's Jimmy. You've been in the military, so at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yes, that's true.
So, all right, let's get to our next story. Before we do that, looks like we got Miss Celia Reese who joined us. guest during the video. So we want to
Celia
thank
in the
you for
house.
joining us as well. So thank you for joining us, Miss Celia Reese. Again, if anybody has any questions, thoughts on any of the stories tonight, please chime in so we can kind of talk through, because of course, this is your show in addition to ours, Jimmy.
That's
Let's
correct.
go to a much more positive story as it comes to sports and business, Jimmy. I think everybody hopefully probably knows this face, but in a historic move that promises to reshape the landscape of professional golfing, Tiger Woods and other PGA Tour players are set to become equity holders in the PGA Tour Enterprises, a newly established for-profit company. The deal marks a significant moment in sports history, as players will now have a share in the PGA Tour and its proceeds. This was based upon a $3 billion investment by a company named Strategic Sports Group, led by Fenway Sports Group, a landmark agreement that values the PGA Tour Enterprises at $12.3 billion. So this infusion of capital is set to benefit not only elite players like Tiger Woods, but also close to 200 GPA Tour members who receive equity shares based upon criteria such as career accomplishments, recent events, tour status, etc. So, Jimmy, this is an extremely exciting deal.
I'm not sure, Tom, how exciting the deal is. The PGA has been on life support for years, which is why the new golf league totally took over. All the top players are playing in a new league and have left the PGA. Really, since Tiger game fell off, the PGA has been, Tiger really brought golf and made it mainstream. Got a lot of people got interested in golf because of Tiger.
Yes.
Of course, as he got older and injured and his game fell off, the PGA fell off with Tiger. And so I guess this is an attempt to try to breathe life into a league. And then the other thing, Tom, I would really highly recommend for the PGA to get out of the woke business. Being woke gets you broke. You look at talking.
PGA is predominantly Caucasian-driven sport. So what do you mean?
Well, Tom, the fact that they're trying to make political statements with the golf courses that they play at, with certain owners, they try to avoid places that they play. And my suggestion would be not trying to make political statements. Stay out of politics. Do what Michael Jordan has done. Stay out of politics. That's your best bet. And just play the game and let the game reward you for excellent play. So the PGA is, like I said, on life support. I'm not sure if this investment is going to bring it back. Tiger Woods could probably bring it back himself by being a face of it. We'll see if he still has draw power. But if anybody can, it's him. I don't see anybody else. But the other thing is, Tom, they're competing against a new golf league that's backed by the Saudis. And
correct. You're correct.
They've pledged $100 billion into the fund for the new golf league.
And I'm sure this is a response to that. So I get that.
They're playing at the places that the PGA doesn't want to play because they're trying to make political statements. But on top of that, the purses are much larger with the new golf league. So God bless them. Let's see how this works out. But like I said, if anybody can bring them back, it would be Tiger. But that would be my advice. Put your stars out there. Let Tiger be the face of it and stay out of politics.
Well, Jimmy, we will see. I think, what's going to make this sport great. I think if we look at, for instance, what's going on with tennis and women's tennis in particular, is an infusion of new talent and fresh faces, and most importantly, great rivalries. For what it's worth, you had your early stakeholders, and then, I don't think that you can put a number on the impact that the Williams sisters have had on
huge
tennis. You can't even put a number on it. But
especially women tennis.
Excuse me,
especially women tennis.
Yeah,
great stars like Steffi Graf and Martina.
Billie Jean King.
They had some staying power, but the Williams sisters really did a great deal to put women tennis on the map.
And they gave it charisma. They made it cool. They even made it cool for women who were playing tennis, to really take the game to another level. You didn't have to be quiet and fragile. You can go out there and play your game at the highest level And everybody, has taken heed to that now and completely changed. They have literally changed the sport irrevocably, Jimmy. But
And they have, Tom, and then notice where women tennis has dropped off after pretty much after their retirement.
True.
So, if you're right. So if you don't infuse it with some fresh talent, and that some of that talent needs to be our color to bring some style and soul to the sport. If not, it's going to go back to what it was and just be kind of a boring sport that not too many people pay attention to other than a few wealthy white people.
And that's what Tiger did for golf.
That's what he did for golf.
Gotcha. All right, Jimmy, let's go to our next video for history and culture. Then we'll go to our next story.
Okay, well, we'll mix it up a little bit. And we have 4, so we have 3 left. Who do you want to pull up?
Why don't
you get a choice of Sojourner Truth or Bessie Smith?
Sundiata.
Another guy?
Well,
let's say the woman for last.
Oh, you know what? Let's go with Sojourner Truth.
Okay.
Pages of history as we unravel the extraordinary journey of Sundiata Keita, the Lion King who defied odds, overcame at Truth was an African-American abolitionist and women's rights activist known for her powerful speeches and advocacy for the abolition of slavery and the rights of women. She was born as Isabella Baumfree around 1797 in Swartkill, New York, a Dutch-speaking settlement. She was born into slavery. In 1826, Sojourner Truth escaped from slavery with her infant daughter. After gaining her freedom, she went to court to regain custody of her son, who had been illegally sold. She became a devout Christian and experienced a religious conversion. She changed her name to Sojourner Truth, reflecting her commitment to traveling and spreading the truth of her experiences and beliefs. She became a prominent speaker in the abolitionist movement. Sharing her personal story as a former slave, she was known for her captivating speeches that addressed the injustices of slavery and advocated for its abolition. One of Sojourner Truth's most famous speeches was delivered at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio, in 1851. In her speech, she challenged prevailing notions of gender and racial inequality. Famously asking, "Ain't I a woman?" Truth collaborated with notable abolitionists and suffragists, including William Lloyd Garrison and Susan B. Anthony. She spoke at various events, advocating not only for the abolition of slavery but also for women's rights. In 1850, Truth dictated her memoir, titled The Narrative of Sojourner Truth, a Northern Slave. The book documented her life, experiences, and activism. After the Civil War, Sojourner Truth continued her advocacy for civil rights and justice. She worked on behalf of newly freed slaves and sought land grants for African American communities. Sojourner Truth passed away on November 26, 1883, in Battle Creek, Michigan. Sojourner Truth's legacy is celebrated for her powerful and compelling advocacy for both the abolition of slavery and women's rights. Her contributions to social justice continue to be remembered and honored today.
Outstanding.
Okay. Well, Tom, we need to put her on. She may have been on the stamp. I'm not sure, but if we can do a Susan B. Anthony coin, we can do a coin with Truth on it also. It doesn't even have to be a legal tender coin. It could be a commemorative coin.
Right. I know she's already been on the stamp, but I would agree with you on that one. So, all right, Jimmy, let's go to our next story, Jimmy. And actually, this kind of goes back a couple of days to the Grammys, a couple of interesting footnotes. I will be completely transparent. I don't do the Grammys, and I ain't done it for years. And there's very specific reasons I want to get in today. But there were some interesting side notes from the Grammys this past weekend. We'll start out with the first one. Of course, Jay-Z, the second half and partner to Beyonce, accepted a Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, which was established just last year and the 50th anniversary of hip hop. But when he got up to the stage, he had a statement to make, criticizing the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, over the decision making it has had over years, and especially when it came to his wife, Beyonce Knowles, and the Album of the Year category. He kind of spoke a little bit about, his earlier days or his younger days, seeing Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff boycotting the award in 1988, and his own boycott in 1998. That year, DMX had 2 albums, both went #1. He wasn't even nominated. And at the end of the day, Jimmy, Beyonce has 32 Grammys. She doesn't have 1 album of the year. So I think he was trying to say the math ain't math.
Okay, so that's true, Tom. So what else is new?
So
this is your industry. These are your peers. So what does that say about your industry that you continue to, and on top of that, Tom, it's not like this is an industry that produces a good product that promotes a positive image of Black people.
true.
And so Jay-Z has gotten wealthy from that industry, and he knows that industry is biased. It doesn't have anything good to promote for Black people. It's just about sucking the wealth out of Black people and exploiting Black people, and then creating a very poor image for our kids to be infused into them. So I'm not sure if I feel anything for the complaints of Jay-Z and his wife, whether she gets album of the year or not. I mean, I really don't care because I don't see very much of what they do. And here's the other thing that bothers me, Tom, is I don't really follow much modern music. Most of my music is from back in the 60s and 70s. You can ask my wife. I'm a Motown guy, a blues guy. But it bothers me when I hear about Taylor Swift, which I don't have any of her music. I don't even think I recognize one of her songs. The wife convinces me that maybe I've heard something of her, but I haven't. But every stop on her concert tour, Tom, I have to hear about her giving $5 and $10 million donation to the local charity. And she's given so much to local charities that she's exceeded their entire budget during their lifetime. And then I wonder, okay, well, Beyonce's been on concert tour. Black folks have been. Where is the donation to the to UNICEF? I mean, to our college funds, or to our schools, or to Black charities? So once again, I don't see where our folks even use their wealth and influence to benefit other Black folks, but yet when they feel slighted, they want Black folks to rally behind them. I don't even care for Taylor Swift, but if Taylor Swift had a problem, I would be more apt to rally behind whatever issue she have, because at least I know she takes her enormous wealth and gives it back to help others.
This is true, Jimmy, but that what you also have to understand is most of this information is coming from mainstream media. And because the Black media has been eliminated, destroyed, oppressed, I mean, unfortunately, you have to have platforms like this and many other platforms that are actually talking about what we are doing in our community. Because it's not that some of the folks in this community aren't doing things. You're just not going to hear a lot of it unless it's negative.
Well, Tom, that's why it's important to have platforms like this. But in our news search, we have yet to encounter any of these Black stars contributing on this level to Black. So,
LeBron funded a school.
Well, he did, and Oprah's funded the school also. So, so there are some cases where some good has been done.
Yes,
I'm not going to say it's been. But what I'm saying is, Tom, is that for people who make a pattern of this, who do it all the time on a regular basis, and not out there bragging about it, you don't hear Taylor Swift saying one thing about it. And so if our Black stars are doing the same, then, yeah, we have an obligation to report it. And so if we run across information like that on this platform, we will report it. Because I celebrate things like that. I think we need to do more of it. But in this case, I mean, hey, my girl Shaka Khan got slighted back in the day. What was his name? Chris Christopherson, I believe, who got album of the year over her, when she definitely had the best album, the best song. So, hey, it happens.
Yep. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jimmy. I don't really have any feelings one way or another, because ultimately expecting the Grammys, the Emmys, the Tonys, the Oscars, anything else to validate you and your accomplishments is kind of a track of lunacy to me. I don't know that unless it benefits them somehow that they're going to really validate your greatness or lack thereof anyway. And we can't wait or expect to be validated individually or as a community by folks who have set a certain track record, because I really don't, as a result, really have any feelings about this in particular, except he's got some feelings because she's won more Grammys than any other artist
I
in history.
understand.
Doesn't have.
And he's probably right. I'm not saying he's wrong.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
probably right.
Absolutely. And I
32,
guess the
32
question,
Grammy Awards and no album of the
is
year.
People's question is this: okay, if it's a performance-based track record, well, why aren't you then awarding the performance, or what is it? Is it just subjective?
Tom, it's that industry of theirs. They want to play in that industry. Okay, I don't have a problem with you calling your industry out, but call your industry out for other things that are more important. 32 Grammys, she probably should have won Album of the Year at least every third or fourth one, and she should have a stack of them. But because she doesn't, so what? You know, but you have the BET do the Image Awards and with the NAACP.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Correct.
how many white people won an Image Award? Maybe a few, but you can celebrate. You can celebrate yourself and your accomplishment with the award that you control. You don't control the Grammys. Your industry control that. And in the industry, you think of these people as your friends and looking out for you because they let you make a few coins. When they're tearing down Black society, they're no friend of mine, Tom. I don't watch them. I don't care for them. So what awards they give or don't give, I don't care. You know, form your own award and give it out to yourself, which we have the Image Award. So fine, I'll watch that and support it sometime. But that means more to me, our own award given out and recognizing ourselves, than trying to get white folks to recognize that, you know, Beyonce hadn't won Album of the Year, and she has probably the most Grammys than any other star.
No, it's not. It's not properly. She does have the most Grammys.
Does? Okay. Yeah, she probably should have won Album of the Year at least 5 or 10 times, Tom.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You can't expect a tiger to be an orangutan. All right, Jimmy, let's go to the other one, and then we've got to save a couple of minutes for Super Bowl. But this last one, of course, we're
going to crank out one more video, Tom, and then we're going to talk Super Bowl.
Let's
do Lion King.
Let's do Killer Mike, because there's also a Grammy story. Then we can do a video. Then we can.
Oh, go ahead to Killer Mike. Go ahead.
All right, Killer Mike, aka Michael Render, was arrested and booked on a misdemeanor on this past Sunday as well, after winning 3 Grammys this past week.
Was he arrested before the Grammys, Tom?
No, they waited until after.
Did he do a Will Smith on somebody?
Yeah, man. They said, while it's unclear what led him to being escorted out of the venue, the rapper has now shared a statement where he is better than okay, clarifying what transpired. A security guard working at the Grammys claimed she was injured by Killer Mike as her assigned door entrance shortly after he swept the rap category, winning Grammys for Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Performance. The security guard asked for Killer Mike's tickets and directed him to a security checkpoint, but he tried to go around her and allegedly injured her in the process. After calling for help, the security guard signed a citizen's arrest for misdemeanor battery, received medical attention, and then there goes the story, Jimmy. So all the details have not gone out yet, but it was interesting, Father. The news needed something to report about. He doesn't really seem to be beefing on this. He's just kind of keeping it quiet right now. Says, you know what, this is just a blip on the radar. I have achieved one of the greatest things that I had dreamed about when I was a 9-year-old kid.
Right, Tom. But then you damage that with the image of you being handcuffed and Perf walked out of the damn Grammys. I mean, that's all I saw. You know, I mean, when I saw news stories of it, I saw the clip of just him being handcuffed and walked. Like, what the hell did he do?
Yeah,
and still the story is not clear. And so for your accomplishment to be overshadowed by this,
right?
They don't lead with you won 3 Grammys or you made history. No, they lead with you being handcuffed and walked out of there. And so that leaves you wonder, like, okay, what did Killer Mike? What a name, Killer Mike. What did he do to be handcuffed like this? And so you already have Will Smith you're trying to overcome. And now we got Killer Mike being handcuffed and walked out. Exactly. I mean, goddamn, y'all gonna stop being invited to these shows and awards if y'all keep cutting up. Black people are just gonna be banned, and then you be crying about they discriminating against you. But every time you look up, a black person is being blamed for something or doing something silly. Now
Well,
you may not
Jimmy,
think it's that. You may think it's minor time, but I assure you, it's going to cost him some money in the end.
absolutely. We do have a couple of comments from Marion Square. Did I'm presuming Beyonce, get one from the BET Awards? Karl Malone never got a ring, but he's good. I don't know about that. And Marion, now, if she gets it, it will be kind of weird after Jay-Z went up there and made this speech. You may be right. Who
Karl
knows?
Malone would never be part of one of the greatest of all time because he
No,
doesn't have the ring. And if he had a ring, Tom, it takes about 5 to get to that fraternity at this point.
that's true.
So I'm sorry, Carl. You're a good player.
If it wasn't for one Michael Jordan, then he probably would have got one, Jimmy. But what can you do about
I
that?
agree. So
Because Michael Jordan got in the way of a lot of people.
yeah, he got. I was going to say he got in the way of a
Malone,
lot of people getting rings, Tom. He got in the way of my Lakers with Magic getting their last ring when they went up against Chicago in the last championship with Magic. That was where he played, and Jordan stopped them from getting their last ring. So yeah, Jordan stopped a few from getting the ring, Tom. That's why he's the GOAT.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of great players. All right, Jimmy. So we got a video and then Super Bowl.
No, let's do Super Bowl because we only have a couple minutes.
All right, Jimmy. We talked about the conference finals last week, and we've got the two heavyweights in the ring. Of course, this week, Jimmy, the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. So this is actually a repeat from a couple of years ago because they both played in the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Two piranhas.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this is my when I say the piranhas and bait, these two are the top piranhas in the tank. They've eaten everybody else. And Tom, what I'm impressed about is, people were wondering about the Chiefs because there were a few times they had some losses during the regular season. People were counting them out, but the Chiefs are built for the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, they're not built for the regular season. I mean, they don't panic too much. I mean, I know Mahomes had a couple of games where he was upset about some calls that cost him a game, but still they know they're going to get into the playoffs. But they designed that team for playoff football. The 49ers are designed for playoff football, Tom. And every now and then during the regular season, some team may get your number and cause you problems, or you don't play as well. But what's most important is that come playoff time, they're on their game. Versus the damn Cowboys, who are not built for the playoffs. We're bait. We're what's called playoff bait. We're what other piranhas eat. Especially in the first round, we just get eaten up, and the bigger piranhas eat the smaller piranhas. But in the end, whoever the last two big piranhas are going to make it to the Super Bowl. This is what I like about football because you can't fake it come playoff time. You got to bring your A game. You either eat or you get eaten. Those are the only two outcomes.
I would agree
so congratulations to both of these teams.
And Jimmy, it's interesting because everybody knows San Francisco has a very battle-hardened defense, and they have a great run game featuring Christian McCaffrey. But quietly, Jimmy, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Tom, a Christian that probably should have seriously been considered for MVP.
Oh, he was. He was one of the top candidates for MVP.
Yeah, he should have won it, Tom. When I look at the impact of players around the league, he really makes. Purdy too, but really he makes that
Christian McCaffrey run. It's Christian McCaffrey. But
he opens everything else up, Tom, for everyone else to shine. So,
but the point that I was trying to make, most people think of Patrick Mahomes, that is Patrick Mahomes, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. But very quietly, Jimmy, the Kansas City Chiefs had the second best defense in the league when it comes to yards per game, the number 4 pass defense, the number 3 rush defense, and the number 2 in terms of points per game on defense. And so they had a stellar defense because everybody thinks about the prolific nature of Patrick Mahomes, but they've actually pretty much beaten San Francisco in every key category on their defense.
Yeah, Tom, their defense is stout. Yeah. And it's hard to score against Kansas City. You're right. Mahomes kind of overshadows that team.
Yes,
but they really do have that's what I'm saying. Come playoff time, you have to have a great defense. You have to have a running game. You have to have a quarterback who makes good decisions. not turn the ball over. And they have that, Tom. So congratulations. It's going to be a tough game, but I'm going to go on record here because I'm generally an NFC guy. But I think the Chiefs are going to beat the 49ers.
You know what, Jimmy? This is a difficult one. I mean, obviously, with 2 weeks, you've got a chance to get healthy. And it is hard, like I found out a week ago, to bet against Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, Brock Purdy doesn't really get a lot of credit of a lot of things that he does, especially, I think, as a second-year quarterback. I think he was the last.
Right. Well, he was hurt the first year.
Exactly. And actually, he was the very last pick in the draft.
Yeah.
But, given what they've got, they got a fantastic value for Brock Purdy.
$700,000 a year, Tom.
Say what you will about being a game manager, but he had one very bad game this year. But other than that, he has been on it all year. This is what makes the difference. They both have comparable defense. And if you really look at the stats, Kansas City has a little bit better defense than San Francisco, which is kind of crazy to think of. And so you come down to running games, and Pacheco actually
I will give the 49ers the edge on the running game.
And Pacheco actually, kind of like Marion Barber, God rest his soul, used to play with the Cowboys, runs with reckless abandon. And if they get that guy and they take the leash off of him, it could be a blow for blow. And I think it's going to come down to coaching and quarterback play. And it's very hard to coach or to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And for what it's worth, Andy Reid is one of the best in the business.
Tom, he's one of the dinosaurs that seem to have figured it out with how to build a team and keep it together. So,
but this is the other thing, Jimmy. He doesn't do the same thing now that he did 10 years ago.
Right. So he's evolved.
He adapts.
Many of the dinosaurs don't adapt, and that's the problem. These young guys come in and I'll coach them, I'll scheme them, I'll think them. But he's one of them that has evolved over time to stay up, where now young guys are still chasing him. So let's see what his staying power is going to be.
And you think about it, Jimmy, both teams have great tight ends. Both teams, you got Kelsey with the Chiefs. You got Kettle with the San Francisco 49ers. Both of them have great defenses. Both of them have really what's considered the best quarterback in the league with Patrick Mahomes, and probably a top 5, maybe a top 20% with Brock Purdy. Both have
both of them I would say in the top 5, Tom. I think Purdy still has the highest quarterback rating in NFL. But hey, you kind of avoiding here, you bloviating a little bit. So let's give your pick. Stop trying to avoid. I've given you mine. I said the Chiefs. So you have to pick a team now.
It's going to come down to coaching, and I'm going to give it to Andy Reid and the Chiefs.
Okay, so we have unanimous consent here that Black Men Speak is predicting the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl this weekend.
I'm not going to get burned by Patrick Mahomes again. No.
Okay, there you have it, people. Before we close the show out, Tom, do we have any comments left on the chat line that I can't see? So this is your last chance, people, to chime in, say what you're going to say, just when we're going to close the show out.
Okay, we got a couple of comments. We got one comment from Miss Sheree Scott. She said, "Go Kansas." I think she meant Kansas City. So go Kansas City Chiefs. That's from Sheree Scott. Want to thank Miss Scott for joining us this evening, and hope you enjoyed the show. Jimmy, this went by a lot faster than I expected it to.
It always does, Tom. Every time we look up, the show is over with as soon as we start. All
right, Jimmy. That's it for me. Thank everybody for joining. Have a great weekend. And, of course, remember, if it's Wednesday night, it's Black Men Speak.
Black Men Speak. See you guys next week.